All right, let's get right into it. In the vast, grim darkness of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, there's this one overarching mystery that honestly dwarfs even the most brutal galactic conflicts. And that is what exactly lies beyond the familiar war-torn borders of the Milky Way galaxy. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're venturing out into the eternal void. We'll be digging into ancient records, lost expeditions, and the genuinely terrifying evidence that the Milky Way might just be one tiny, noisy room in a very dark, very crowded house. Listen to this fragment straight from the fragmented Imperial archives. Not destroyed, not corrupted, not declared traitor, simply gone. That hits hard, doesn't it? See, early on in Imperial history, they sent these long-range expeditions to push past the final stars, really just to see what was out there. And the crazy thing is, most of them never came back. They didn't fall in some massive space battle. They didn't succumb to the temptations of chaos. They literally just vanished into absolute blackness. And that left the administratum completely scrambling, trying to figure out what could have possibly swallowed whole fleets without a trace. If we take a massive step back, the true scale of this mystery gets, well, it gets pretty terrifying. The Milky Way is basically humanity's prison, our battlefield and our home. I mean, sure, the Imperium spans 1,000,000 worlds. You've got endless orc hordes, hidden Eldari pathways, demons literally tearing through reality. It feels so infinite. But if you look closely, it's really just a tiny, violently glowing island surrounded by this terrifyingly endless Black Sea. 10,000 years of warfare have gone down almost entirely within these borders. The second you leave this island, all the rules change. Now, to understand why leaving the galaxy is such a nightmare, we have to talk about the warp. You know the Imperium, right? Well, distance isn't actually the biggest problem when exploring the void. The real issue is that the warp relies on the collective emotion and the psychic churn of the galaxy's living beings just to create navigable currents. It literally needs the immense psychic weight of humanity and Xenos alike to function properly. So imagine this. As ships cross the galactic edge, the warp falls silent, unnaturally, terrifyingly silent. Those trillions of minds churning the immaterium, they just fade away. Navigators who have spent their entire lives braving horrific demonic storms suddenly reported an absolute dead calm. And let me tell you, that absence freaked them out way more than the monsters they were used to. It just felt completely wrong. Astropaths couldn't sense distant minds, and those navigational currents thinned out into this deeply unsettling emptiness. Just think about the sheer contrast here. On the inside, the inner galaxy, we have the familiar. It's incredibly loud, packed with massive populations, and teeming with emotional churn and demonic presence. Yes, it is incredibly dangerous, but it's a danger we know. But then you look at the outer rim. Out there, it is defined by total sensory isolation, psychic dead zones, and failing warp currents. It's the equivalent of an ancient sailor reaching the very edge of the map and realizing the ocean has suddenly just stopped behaving like water. But here's the kicker. The void wasn't actually empty. The few expeditions that actually survived long enough reported finding enormous, completely unclassifiable distortions just sitting out there in empty intergalactic space. And we aren't talking about rogue planets or dark stars here. These were massive anomalies that completely defied existing science. It sparked all these intense debates. Were they ancient concentrations of dark matter playing tricks with gravity? Or was it something much darker? Were there entities out there just watching from the abyss? I mean, the Imperium desperately wanted to write those anomalies off. You know, just bad sensors, nothing to worry about. But then came the Tyranids, and every single assumption about our cosmic isolation completely collapsed. When Hive Fleet's Behemoth, Kraken, and Leviathan crashed into the galactic rim, They proved without a shadow of a doubt that the intergalactic void was not empty. Not only was it navigable, but it was filled with unimaginable horrors completely alien to the Milky Way. Let's just walk through the terrifying logic of the Tyranid arrival for a second. Step 1, they originated outside the galaxy. Step 2, that means extragalactic travel is completely possible. Heck, it's practical. Step 3, if a massive, ravenous biological swarm can do it, other advanced civilizations could definitely do it too. Which brings us to step 4, the ultimate chilling conclusion. We are not alone. Humanity might literally just be occupying one tiny battlefield in a much, much larger cosmic war. And that brings us to a question that absolutely haunts Imperial strategists. Are the Tyranid hive fleets invading or are they fleeing? Just let that sink in for a second. The Tyranids are an apocalyptic, world-devouring threat. If they are actually migrating away from whatever their origin point is, what kind of unimaginable cosmic predator could possibly exist out there in the dark that would force the ultimate apex predator to run? Now you might be sitting there thinking, okay, maybe this is all just human paranoia. Well, unfortunately for the Imperium, it's not. This terror of the void is definitely not a human delusion. Humanity isn't the only faction in the galaxy that's looked into the dark and realized they might be hopelessly outmatched. Other significantly older species harbor their own deep-seated fears about what lies beyond the stars. We actually see this exact same dread echoed across ancient Xenos myths. For example, there are fragments of Eldari legends that talk about impossible journeys beyond the rim. Then you've got these bizarre orc stories of endless wars fought beneath completely unfamiliar stars. But honestly, the most alarming ones come from the Necrons. These guys have been around for millions of years. They literally shattered their own gods, and yet their ancient records suggest extreme caution when it comes to intergalactic space. When entirely separate civilizations, especially the fearless Necrons, share the exact same warnings, you have to admit it's no longer a coincidence. And it's not just spooky campfire stories either. We have tangible physical evidence. Explorers have found impossible ruins on dead worlds out near the outer rim approaches. And when I say impossible, I mean their construction methods match absolutely no known civilization, human or Xenos, and their age vastly exceeds any expectations. It strongly implies that our galaxy has had extragalactic visitors before, and humanity simply showed up on the galactic stage millions of years too late to understand what they left behind. But honestly, it's the psychological toll on these deep void crews that points to something much, much darker. Beyond the physical ruins, explorers reported crushing, overwhelming isolation, persistent creeping feelings of being observed by something unseen. They had vivid dreams of impossible structures suspended out in the dark, and worst of all, hearing voices bleeding through completely dead communication channels. Sure, skeptics blame stress,